everyone, this is a tutorial to go over how to create your Skinnybrick. This is for the beginning section of your Milestone 2. So remember, make that Lego project main folder. All of your part files you're going to save there. For this milestone, we're going to practice some of our extrudes, shells, using sketch and convert entity features, patterns, adding in global variables and applying those equations so we get that parametric modeling. And then, once we're done with this Skinnybrick, we will move to creating configurations and 3 derived parts. I will have separate videos for those 2 sections. So right now, this video is going to cover just creating that Skinnybrick file. It is not a part file in your Lego kit, but one that we are going to reference to build the rest of our flat brick files from. So let's get started. Make sure that you open a new part document window. Double check your part document window. This should be what you do as soon as you open it. You need to change your units to millimeters. All of our Lego parts are going to be built in millimeters. So select MMGS. Now we're going to create our global variables. So go up to Tools, go down to Equations. For your first global variable, this is going to be length. Tab over and select 6 and then hit Enter. The second is going to be width. Tab over and enter 2 and hit Enter. So for now, we are only going to have length and width as our global variables. Make sure that when you list them and reference them, you're going to apply them and use them in your model. When you have length and width added in, go ahead and hit OK. I can read the instructions, and it says that we need to create our first base extrude on the top plane. So select your top plane, bring it normal to you. Go ahead and select your sketch tab, and we're going to just create a basic rectangle. Select that rectangle icon, make sure you are attached to your origin, drag and drop it out. Then we're going to select your Smart Dimension icon. Now, reading the instructions, it knows that we need to define this sketch by our global variables, as well as multiply both the length and the width by 8 millimeters. So select that bottom edge, bring your cursor down. Remember, to utilize your global variables, you have to hit your equal sign, select that global variable of length, asterisk for multiply by 8, and then hit Enter. Let's do this side edge. Go ahead and grab that edge. We're going to have it be equals. Select the global variable of width, asterisk multiplied by 8, and hit OK. Now I'm going to go to our Features tab. Go to your extruded boss/base icon. And because this is our base feature, the direction of our depth does not matter at the moment. So I'm going to change that depth to be 3.2 and then hit OK for your green check mark. So there is our base feature. Now before we go any further, I want to specify the material for our part. This is going to be used for all of our Lego parts. So come over to your Feature Tree Manager where you see Material Not Specified. Right-click and go to Edit Material. Now our Lego parts are built from ABS plastic. So scroll down your SOLIDWORKS material list until you get to the Plastics folder. Hit that flyout arrow and select the first option, ABS. Double check your units. So right now it's saying it's in IPS, English Unit System. Make sure you go ahead and change that to the SI, so everything's in metric. This is just good practice to get into for when you start doing more advanced work and simulations in SOLIDWORKS. Hit Apply, and then close this window. Now if you look at your feature tree manager, you're going to see that it no longer says material not specified, but that ABS plastic has populated. Now we're going to start building the circular knob feature on the top of our Lego part. So I'm going to select that top face because that's exactly where my sketch is going to be applied. Bring it normal to me. Go to your sketch tab, select your circle, sketch, and draw your first circle. Now recall, before you can create a linear pattern, you must have the entire seed feature completed. So right now we have just a seed sketch. Grab your Smart Dimension tool. I'm going to start by dimensioning this sketch for the diameter, which is 5. And then dimensioning its placement. So from the center of my circle to this top edge, that value is going to be 4. And from the center of my circle to my side edge, that value is also going to be 4 millimeters. And hit enter. Now that our sketch has been fully defined, go to your Features tab and go to that extruded boss/base icon. And the height of this is going to be 1.8. Now you can hold the ruler of your mouse down. Make sure that you are coming out from your brick. If you are going inside of your brick, go ahead and hit this arrow on the side to change that direction. Also make sure that merge result is checked. This is going to allow this to be created as one solid model, which will make all of our technical drawings that we reference from our parts later on a lot easier to read because there will not be extra line segments. And go ahead and hit that green check mark. Now we have our seed feature created. So now we're going to go ahead and create our linear pattern. So under your Features tab, go to your linear pattern icon. For direction 1, since my initial sketch is on the top, I'm going to select that top edge. I want this pattern to go all the way across my brick. So for our distance here, I want this to be set up as 8. We want this to be 8 millimeters from midpoint to midpoint for all of our knobs. Now for the number of instances, this is where we are going to use our global variables again. So go ahead and hit that equal sign, go to your global variables and select length. Now go ahead and hit that drop down arrow for direction 2. And on the same side my initial seed feature is, I am going to hit this side direction, or that side edge. And for my number of instances, I'm going to hit equals width. Keep your options as the spacing and instances. The distance here, we're going to change from 10 to be 8. Now notice, you can see that my pattern is going off of my brick. That is just because the second direction I selected is going in the wrong direction. So I'm going to hit this arrow off to the side and flip that pattern down. With that direction now changed, you can see that our pattern is going to be placed on top of this brick, and I'm going to hit that green check mark or OK. Now I have that nice top of my Lego brick designed. So now, step 5, it can be a little confusing when we go from 5 to 6. So I'm going to explain why we are creating a shell as well as an extra extruded cut for depth. So when our Lego pieces are going to fit together, we're going to shell this entire part first. We can't go too deep with our shell, or it's going to try to shell the inside material of each of these knobs, which would shell them away, and we would be left with an open top profile of this part. SolidWorks will not allow that to happen. But if we were to create these and print them off by using a 3D printer, we would need an extra cut for just the inside depth of this rectangle so all of your Lego pieces can snap together. So we're going to start by selecting this back face, bring it normal to you, and we're going to come up to your Features tab to the shell option. So this is just going to give us that shell thickness of 1.5 millimeters. So we don't have to actually create any extra cuts. So set your distance to 1.5 and hit OK. So you can see that I have that nice shell now. Anything you shell from one face will shell all of your material. So we can see the inside of our knobs have also been hollowed out, giving them a 1.5 wall thickness as well. So now we need to add in that just extra depth for the cut. So select the bottom face, that's where we're going to create our sketch inside where we just shelled. Bring it normal to you, go to your sketch icon and get a rectangular sketch. For this, we're going to kind of rotate your model. Make sure you're selecting the top corner. Rotate your model again by holding the roller of your mouse down. Zoom in and select that bottom corner. You want to make sure that your sketch is attached to each side of your underneath rectangle. This is because as this gets longer or shorter, if that sketch is not connected with these coincident relationships or collinear lines on top of your edges, then it's going to stay this size, whether or not your part gets longer or shorter. So now that I have that sketch in place, because I have it attached to the inside edge, it's already fully defined. I'm going to go to my Features tab, over to the Extruded Cut option, and this depth is going to be 0.1. So it's going to be extremely hard to see. So make sure you rotate your model and you notice the direction with this arrowhead that the cut is being made. We want to make it inside of our Lego part so that we get that tiny bit of an extra little cut. And then hit OK. So you can't really see anything different being done, but it is there. We can see that on our Feature Tree Manager. So now we're going to use our Convert Entities tool and create the underneath annulus on the bottom of this part. So on the bottom face, go ahead and click and bring it normal to. I'm going to change the display style of my part just so it is hidden lines visible. This is going to allow me to see the top edges of my top knobs, and I'm going to use them as my reference points. Those are the entities I'm going to convert. So I'm going to open a new sketch on that bottom face. I'm going to select my Convert Entities icon. You do have to be in a new sketch to be able to select that Convert Entities. And then I am just going to select these outside edges of 4 of those knobs. So make sure if you hit your fly out arrow, you can hover your mouse over this Boss Extrude too. That was your first knob. So when we are creating this pattern, because we're using global variables, we do need to make sure that we are selecting the same vertical and horizontal edge and starting on the same side that our original seed feature and linear pattern were built on. They have to be done on the same side. So I can see my Boss Extrude, that first seed was done here, and I know that I selected this top edge as well as my side edge. So these are the 4 entities I'm going to convert so I can place that first underneath analysis on the same end of this Lego brick as my initial starting top knob. So then go ahead and hit OK. So now you're going to see these relationships pop up, just showing that we have converted those entities. You do not put in these manual sketches. It automatically converts them. So now I'm going to select my circle sketch, and I'm just going to draw two circles that are sharing the same midpoint in the middle of these converted entities. I'm going to select my Smart Dimension icon and dimension the inside circle, so that inner diameter is 5. And then if you're looking at your instructions, you're going to see that there is no diameter for this outside circle. It's not listed or given. This is because we're going to add in relationships between these converted entities. So select the top circle edge of that first converted entity, hold your Control key down and select that outer circle sketch, and add in a tangent relationship. Then hit OK. You're then going to select the top circle outside edge, hold in your Control key, select your outside edge circle, and add in a tangent relationship, and hit OK. We're going to do this 3 times. So now select the bottom edge circle, hold your Control key down, select that outside circle sketch, and add in that tangent relationship, and hit OK. You can see now, after I added in those 3 tangent relationships, that this new sketch is fully defined. It has placement and size. So now go to your Features tab, and we're going to select your extruded boss/base icon. For our direction, I want you to change it to up to surface. Hold the roller of your mouse down, rotate your model, and select this bottom face. So we're just bringing that underneath annulus to come up to the bottom face of our part. Then for your selected contours down at the bottom, zoom in and select the inside of that sketch and hit OK. You can now see that underneath annulus has been created. Go back up and change your display style to be shaded with edges again, so we can actually see that full part. Now we are going to create our linear pattern for that bottom extrude. So go ahead and just double check where that first extrude was that you made on your linear pattern for your top knob. Note the side edge and that top edge we selected as we rotate. So now we're going to be selecting the bottom edge and that side edge. So on your Features tab, go to that linear pattern option. We do not want this boss extrude selected. For direction 1, I'm going to select the inside bottom edge of that rectangle. The spacing for that distance is going to remain 8, but for our number of instances, we want to reference our global variables again. So you're going to have it be equals global variable of length, but now we are centered, so we are actually going to have one less of these underneath annulus than the row of our top knobs. So this is where you're going to apply the equation of n minus 1. Instead of n, we have length, so it will be length minus 1. For direction 2, make sure that arrow is dropped down, and we're going to select the inside side vertical edge. We are going to keep our distance as 8 millimeters, and for the number of incidents, hit equals your global variables, select width minus 1. For the features and faces, go ahead and click on your annulus. Now you're going to see that pattern pop up. Make sure you have your length minus 1 and your width minus 1, and you're seeing those summation signs. If you don't see the summation sign, make sure you have equals in front of those variables. Now go ahead and hit OK. So here is our final part. This is just for the first section, creating the Skinnybrick file. When it's done, go over to your equations folder, right-click, and select Manage Equations. Just play around with your equations. So I'm going to change my length to 10. You can see my Skinnybrick got a lot larger. All my patterns are being recreated. Go ahead and change your width to 6. As long as you have no errors as you're changing all of your values, then your part has been built correctly. I do want you to notice that when I do change my length to 3 and width to 2, I have 2 annuluses left. So I have no issues. However, when I change my length to 2 and my width to 2, I am going to get this error. You can see that it's an issue with my pattern. Now my part still looks fine, but this issue is because no pattern is being created since we only have 1 annulus. So to fix that, you can just hit OK to get out of your global variables. Keep hitting close on that message window. Right-click on your linear pattern, and we could suppress it. Now, we will touch more into that when we create our configurations in the second video. So if you did suppress your pattern, go ahead and click on it again, select the unsuppress, close your window, go back into your equations, right-click, Manage Equations, and set your length and width back to the original values of 6 and 2, and hit OK. So the last thing is I want to just add color to this part. Our Skinnybrick is just going to stay white, but I want to show you how to create the color. So click anywhere on your model, go to this color wheel appearance, and select part 2 because we want the entire model that we built to be the same color. Now I'm going to select white and hit OK. So this is it for your Skinnybrick. This is the first part of milestone 2. Keep an eye open for the second video that will explain how to use the Skinnybrick and create a list of configurations for your remaining Lego parts. Let me know if you have any questions.